Hi everyone. So I'm so excited and to share this with you all. This is something that has been weighing so heavy on my heart, and I just hope that this encourages you to know that there is a living God and that He is alive, and He moves in our lives in ways that we can never imagine. So I'm going to start off by saying my name is Rosalind. And I am on Instagram as I am underscore wonderfully made underscore. So if you haven't added me, add me on Instagram. So I'm going to start off by saying, so I know in my first video I posted, like, I've said some things of what I was going through, but this is going to be a little bit more in depth of what I went through. So I grew up in a home. My mom and my dad were, they've been married for now 35 years, or over 30 years, I believe so. And my mom and my dad, they were like, they met when they were like 14 years old, and they were like each other's soulmates, and they got married, and then they had myself and my two sisters. I'm the youngest of two. I'm the youngest one. And my childhood, what I can remember from it was that it was pretty cool. Like, I was always the one who was always laughing and smiling and being silly and dancing and singing, and I was just always the upbeat one. For my sisters, my other two sisters are very, like, a little more conservative with my family, with my parents, but I'm just more, I laugh, I'm so silly, I do silly things. So I was always the one that was always laughing and smiling and giggling. And then, so I remember that from my childhood. And, my life was affected, and it changed completely at the age of 11, where I was diagnosed with diabetes type 1. If you don't know what diabetes is, type 1 diabetes, according to the doctors, they said that, it wasn't because of what I ate. It wasn't because, I wasn't a healthy child. They said that I was born with that. I wasn't producing any insulin. So, in my pancreas, so it got, it worsened, and it got worse when I turned 11. So that is when I developed it. And I was a huge baby. I was born super big. So they said that it was because of I was born big and stuff like that. And it's not generational, because I'm the only one in my family who has diabetes type 1. So it's not generational. It's not because of what I ate. It's because I ate so much sweets. It's not because of that. So at the age of 11, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and my life completely changed after that. Like, I just didn't want to, like, do anything. It was just so much for me to bear at the age of 11. I remember when we went to the doctor, because I had lost so much weight. I was so pale, and I was going to school. I was in 5th grade. I was so pale. I was so skinny, and I remember, like, going, to the bathroom and looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Like, I would say to myself, there's something wrong. Like, I look so white, so pale, I'm so skinny. And I'm like, there's something wrong. And I went and told my mom, like, Mom, we got to go to the doctor because there's something wrong with me. And we went to the doctor, and that's when they told us, you're diabetic. They did some blood work, and turns out that I had diabetes. So I remember being so skinny and so sick. And I would go to school, and I was just so insecure, like, it was ridiculous. So I remember, they told me I was diagnosed with diabetes. They immediately transported me to the emergency room, where I stayed in the hospital for a week. And that's when, the doctors explained to me what diabetes was, because I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. I was only 11, and diabetes wasn't that common back then as it is now. So I was so scared. I remember in my, like, saying, I'm going to die. I didn't know what it was that I had. And, we didn't know what that was. So I remember, staying for a whole week, and that's when the doctors, they treated me. They taught me step by step how to, inject myself, when to inject myself, the normal range of my sugar levels and how everything should be. What should I eat? My diet and everything like that. So, they taught me all of that, and it was just so much for me to understand at that age. And they sent me home, and, I was on my own to do it and take care of myself. And that was a big responsibility. And I just didn't want to do it. We're young. We want to be down with everybody. You want to be, like everybody else. I just felt like I was so different. So, especially in my household, like, my sisters, like, they didn't, obviously, like, I thought that they were perfect. I thought that they didn't have anything, and why me? Why did I have to, why do I have to endure this? So after that week, I went back home, and I went back to school. And I remember going back to school, and the kids in my class made fun of me. Like, they bullied me because they found out I had diabetes. And I remember, like, my mom had to write a note for the nurse, to bring in my medication so that before lunch I can go to the nurse and get the medication and and eat. And I remember when I got back to school the first day after being in the hospital for a week, like, the kids in my class were making fun of me as I walked in the room because I had lost so much weight. Like, it was ridiculous. I remember putting on my skirt, and my skirt literally fell off of my body because my waist was so thin. And I remember kids were saying, like, "Oh my God, you got liposuction," and just making fun of my diabetes, and making fun of me, and making fun of my looks. How I looked. I looked very pale. Like I said, I lost all this weight. So I was made fun of. I was bullied in school because of that in the 5th grade. And I was literally the only one in school that had that because, like I said, it wasn't so common back then. So I was the only one in school, like, going to the nurse and, like, getting this super serious medication. And, like, so I was bullied. And I remember, like, I wanted to be loved. I wanted love by people, and I didn't feel like I was loved by the outside people. I didn't feel like I was enough. I didn't feel like I was worthy of anything, and that's when it all started. And so I went into middle school, and I was introduced to a couple of friends that they were dating at the time. They were dating and doing this, and then dating and having sex and all of those things, and having boyfriends, and I didn't have any. And I felt like I was like, what is wrong with me? Why doesn't anybody like me? And the enemy started putting thoughts in my head like, listen, you have an illness, like, you're special, you're literally special, right? Like, you have problems, you have issues. And just to backtrack on my story, like, I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was in 5th grade, but I repeated the grade in 4th grade. So I also got bullied. All of my friends moved on to the 5th grade, and I couldn't. I had to repeat the 4th grade again. Because I just wasn't understanding anything, and I just felt so stupid. So back to middle school, my friends were having boyfriends, and they looked so pretty, and they didn't have anything. They didn't have to worry about anything. They didn't have to worry about their health. They didn't have to worry about, like, nothing. And I had a lot on my plate to worry about. And my mom always calling me and checking up on me, and to me it was a little embarrassing in front of my friends that she would call me and pack my lunch, because I had to have a diet, and she would pack my lunch and everything. And I remember feeling super embarrassed by that, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't want to take out my lunch, so I wouldn't, so I'll eat whatever my friends ate, or all the junk that I couldn't eat, I'll eat it, because I was afraid of taking my lunch out. I was embarrassed of taking my lunch out. So I'll just, like, as I was after school, I'll just, like, throw it in the nearest garbage and just, like, make pretend when I get back home that I ate it when I didn't. So so they look so pretty, and I'm like, I want to be pretty. I want to be loved. I want to be loved. And that's when I started developing that feeling, that void in my heart of wanting to be loved and not like I literally felt like, I was just such a special child, that nobody would be able to love me, that I wasn't worthy of love from anybody, that the reason why guys didn't look at me was because I had this condition. And, I'm like, nobody wants that stress in their lives. Like, nobody wants to deal with this sick person, and I just felt really, really bad. And I bashed myself so much. And the things that I used to say about myself to myself, I was just hurting myself. And, I will get into relationships trying to fill in this void in my heart, trying to fill in this hole, this deep, deep hole in my heart. I will get into different relationships. I would finish, I would end a relationship today, and tomorrow I will be talking to somebody else. I would be, the more attention I got, the more love that I thought was love that I got, I accepted anything that would come my way. Any love, anything. I'm like, okay, this is what love is. This is what I'm going to accept because I need it. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. I need love. And so I accepted anything that came my way, any love. And, it's like my heart, my heart was like a donut, and in the middle of the donut there's this big hole right there, and that is how I can relate. That's how I compare it to like a donut with that hole in the middle. And I try to stuff everything in, stuff all these relationships, stuff all the sex stuff, all the things that I accepted from others, the way that others treated me, the way that others treated me. I accepted it all because I didn't think that I could have anything more than that. I didn't think that I was worthy of having anything better than that. I said, this is the borderline of what I'm going to get, and I'm going to take advantage of it and take it. So, and also I was also manipulative as well. Like, it wasn't all every guy, also, it was me. And because of my insecurities and because of my, I was feeling unworthy, I was also manipulative in a way where I would try to, just try to do things to get attention from them. I would do things to try to get attention because I needed to fill this void. I needed to fulfill fill up the thirst that I was feeling. And I felt almost like in the Bible, the Samaritan woman who, she went to the well when she was so thirsty. I was like, wow, that is exactly how I felt. I was thirsty, and I always ran back to the same people again, to the same crowds, running back to the same cycles of being in and out of relationships. There were times, many times, where I would be in one relationship and then entertaining another person, because the more people I had on my side, the more men, the more love that I had on my side, it made me feel better. It made me feel loved. It made me feel worthy. Little did I know that emptiness only God can fill. I didn't know that. I kept on doing all of these things, and I remember laying on the ground and just crying out to God and asking him, like, why am I like this? Why do I keep doing the things that I'm doing? Why do I keep entertaining other people when I'm in a relationship? Why do I keep allowing other men to talk to me how they want, to control me? Why am I manipulative? Why do I always lie? Why am I always acting like I'm okay when I'm not? Why do I have to be the one to deal with diabetes? I don't want this. I didn't ask for this life. And I remember crying out to God and asking him that, because I just wasn't understanding. I didn't understand, that it's really important for you to know that God is the only one who can fill that void in your heart. And I grew up, my mom is Christian, and I knew that you weren't supposed to have sex before marriage, and you know, I didn't know why. I didn't know why they say don't have sex until you're married. I'm like, all right, you know, I don't know what it is, but I don't know why, but whatever. I heard that all my life, and I didn't understand why. And the enemy used me at a very young age, right? And sucked the life out of me, because it was literally sucking the life out of me. Sucking the life out of me because I was pretending to be someone I wasn't, and I was living a double life at home and when I went out. So literally, you know, it was basically, I describe it like I had diabetes when I was in my house, right? And then when I stepped out, I had nothing. I acted like I had nothing. I didn't take care of myself. I hid everything because, you know, I felt like if I showed who I really was, no one will love me. No man will want to be with me. So I would hide everything. And, you know, it was really, really difficult because I just wasn't understanding, and I was so frustrated with myself because I kept asking the Lord, why am I like this? Is it something generational? Is it something, you know, am I just like this and this is just my life? And I was like, you know what, this is how I am, and this is how it's gonna be, and I'm okay with it. You know, there was a point where I was like, I'm fine with it, that's it, this is my life, and I'm just, you know, this is who I am, you know. And I owned it. And that is a huge mistake. Don't own that mess that you're going through. Don't own those cycles that you're going through. Don't say this is my life and that's it. That's it for me. It's not over until God says it's over. And God wants to heal your heart. He wants to heal your heart. So, you know, a lot of the triggers for me, you know, were my insecurities, my lack of identity. I didn't know who I was. You know, unworthy. And those things led me to be lustful, to seek other relationships, to be, you know, to like men who were even in other relationships, to like men who I knew I wasn't supposed to like, to be in relationships knowing that I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship, to entertain other people in the same time, to entertain so much people, and, you know, maintain these conversations and keep up with these conversations, and fornicate and do these things that I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing. All of that, all of the insecurity, all of the loneliness I felt, all of the unworthiness led me to that. And for many years, I did this. For many years, I was in bondage with these soul ties, you know, lying and cheating people, and, you know, and saying, you know, yeah, and stringing people along when I know I didn't feel anything for them. But I was selfish because I just wanted love. I just wanted to be filled with love in my heart. And so I was blind to see how it hurt other people. I was also blind for that. So, you know, it's not always, you know, it's two ways to this. It's, you know, you had a part to play in your story as well, and you need to realize that, and think about it, you know, and think about the ways, why did you act this way? You know, what are the roots of your problem? Why did you do these things? And I just wanted to share my story with you all. And God really worked in my life, guys. God transformed my heart, and he is still working with my heart. And I remember him telling me, I remember asking him, God, again, I asked him, God, why am I doing this? And he told me, it's not the lust, it's not that you keep getting in and out of relationships, it's your heart. It's in your heart. It's your heart that I want to transform. It's your heart that I want to change. It's the feelings. It's the things that you keep suppressing and suppressing and suppressing and you don't talk about. It's the things that you do in secret, right? It's the conversation. It's all starts with your heart. It all starts in your heart, guys. So the Lord spoke to me and told me, it's your heart. It's the posture of your heart. That's what it is. What are you thinking about in secret? What are you doing when the lights are off? You know, what are you doing when there's no one watching you? It's what you do in secret. It's what you do, you know, it's how you act. Is what you think about. That's so important. What do you think about? What are you thinking about in your mind? And, you know, I always was so lustful in my mind, and I've always tried to, like, you know, I couldn't be by myself. I couldn't be alone. I had to have someone with me. I had to be with someone. If I wasn't with anybody, I mean, I don't remember the last time, like, I wasn't ever alone. I was always with somebody. Whether I ended a relationship and I was entertaining another one, or, you know, it was just friends with benefits, as they will call it. And, you know, I had to have someone. I had to have someone. I had to have someone. So I just want to say, you know, God really, really spoke to my heart and said, this is a heart surgery that I need to do. This is a heart surgery. This is a heart surgery. Think about the triggers. Think about the things that led you to do what you did, right? Think about the root. Think about the root, because it's really in the root. You want to get to the root of the problem, because if not, you will go back and do the same thing you did before. Whenever you're triggered, whenever something will trigger it, you'll go back and feed back into that cycle. You'll go back to that relationship. You'll go back to being lustful. You know, you'll go back to masturbation. You'll go back to pornography. You'll go back to entertaining other men that you shouldn't. You know, you'll go back to all of these things. And I just want to encourage you today to ask the Lord to work in your heart, to work with your heart, to examine your heart, because your heart is so important to the Lord. It is important to Him. And you know, you don't want to be the person who acts like they're okay when they're really not, who is struggling by themselves. You are not alone, and the Lord sees you. He's watching you, and He is saying right now, if you are struggling with this, if this is something that you can relate to, of anything that I said, that I mentioned, the Lord just wants you to surrender your heart over to Him. If you don't know who Christ is love, and He loves you like crazy. And He loves you, and He will do anything. He is so crazy about you. He is madly in love with you. And if you are watching this video right now, I'm just saying to you right now, God is so madly in love with you, and He loves you so much. And I hope that this encourages you today to look, to seek Him, and to ask Him, God, work in my heart. Work in my heart and expose some of the things that I have that's been hidden there for years, that I never touched, that I just keep on piling up with other stuff and piling up with other stuff. Reveal, expose the things, as David says, examine my heart. Examine my heart, Jesus Christ. Examine what it is that I need to let go, what it is that I need to work on. Help me be honest with you. Help me be honest with myself. So, guys, I hope this blessed you today. And I just want to say God bless you. You're not going through this alone. I hope you have a good day today. And just think about this. Think about how the Lord loves you like crazy. He is madly, madly in love with you. Okay? God bless everyone. And I'll be praying for you guys. Thank you for watching.